What defines Unicorns of Love is family and a lot of passion for the game.
Everybody's really open-minded, and we always come to a conclusion of what is best. And in game, we usually have like everybody on the same page. So we have pretty good teamwork right now.
1-on-2, he hops in, and he's outplayed. First blood for Wonder.
2017 Fnatic was mostly defined by the animal style, like being crazy and going for a lot of kills. But in a way, 2018 Fnatic is actually the opposite. And we are much more now seen as a team that has the best macro.
And that's a double kill for Reckless.
The previous teams built up a legacy, and the legacy still stands. There is a new team. Fans still expect us to be the best.
Actually going to block the majority of the CC a little bit more. Will connect. Ornn leaps in. Perks there for the cleanup. That's going to be 2. G2 with the explosive fight.
I think we haven't proven anyone wrong yet. We will see at the end of the split. It's fine to be underrated because no one really cares about you, right?
I thought they were losing. Giants say no, they get the ace.
So you can just keep on playing. No one will really notice, and you just keep getting wins like that.
We're still trying our best and trying really hard every day. If we win this week, the players are actually not that happy.
Down here, great fight coming in. Unicorns of Love clean and has the cold is now going forward on the top.
The thing we define giants, new talents, and draft towards the late game. I know we learn, so I guess we are back on track.
My coach told me we'll make playoffs, and I trust my coach, so we'll make playoffs, and once we get there, we have a good track record of just stomping everyone.
Vitality are running for their lives, but they have no life left.
Xayah is underrated. I think every single player is kind of looked down as this is like a turning point for us. Everyone is doing really well, I think.
And the game! Targus wants to bring it in. Ruin goes down. What is this? Oh my God, HeaQ, that is fucking beautiful!
And for the first time in history, the 4th consecutive EU LCS title, G2 Esports.
Misfits, the underdogs in this game. No one expected anything, but they hit hard.
Yakos, the first Blood King. Let's make this a clean fight.
Welcome everyone to the EU LCS studio in Berlin, Germany. We've got a brand new patch and teams fighting for their positions in the race for playoffs. So gear up, vroom vroom, for a big day here in the Spring Split. Good afternoon, I'm Sjokz supporter, joined by Martin Deficio. Lunga, did I catch you off guard there?
Well, yeah, you did, but also the fact we had a guy in the audience with an Origin shirt also kind of caught me off guard a little bit there. So 2 big surprises already starting the show.
He can still be a fan, you know, and fan of other teams that are playing right now.
100%.
100%.
It's because amazing is casting. That's it.
That is why
you
made the connection. Fantastic. Well, let's also take a look at the state of the league with only 5 games left for each team. No Origin though, but a very heated up battle for first place between G2, Fnatic, and Vitality. It is on between those 3 teams.
Yeah, I love the fact we can have actually a 3-way tie for first place. That would be super hype. I'm looking further down the standings though. Schalke versus Unicorns off later today. That's going to be a big one because as you guys can see, they're tied at the moment. Unicorns off, big winning streak. If they beat Schalke here, I think maybe the playoff hopes, it's gone then for Schalke. And that would be pretty crazy to me.
We'll see. A lot of things up in the air. We saw a lot of Roccat fans just now in the crowd. Well, Roccat had a huge win yesterday over Giants. Crucial after going 0-2 last week. So they're still in the race. And a fun fact, there is still a possibility for a 10-way tie.
If we do get a 10-way tie, in order for that to happen, by the way, Fnatic needs to lose every game, and HeaQ will have to win every game, because you can't get more than either 10 wins or 10 losses for a 10-way tie to happen. If it does happen, we play a single elimination bracket where the top 6 teams will make it into playoffs. So probably won't happen, but finally we had a chance to say what would happen if we got one.
Sounds like a lot of fun, but even without the 10-way tie, everyone can still get to playoffs. And yesterday was the first test for the teams also on patch 8.4. And one item that definitely left its mark on the Rift was the Banner of Command. Why is this item so freaking strong?
Well, I mean, on this patch it got hotfixed, so now when you actually apply it onto a Baron buffed cannon minion, there's a lot of words there. it suddenly deals a ton of damage.
And you get the exclusive buff.
Yeah, you get it here. 8 shots once you have the Baron buff and the Baron of command. That's all it takes for it to kill a turret. So pretty simple if you can manage to get ahead early, secure a Baron, and then get this buffed up minion, you can probably take the enemy base down, and that's why it is so strong. On top of that, it is also a fine tank item that is by no means weak.
Not at all. On top of that, in terms of taking Baron and objectives in the game, the faster average first Baron take time, on average 3 minutes faster than on the previous patch, teams would go for Baron and get that first Baron. So obviously that has nothing to do with the buff that you get afterwards. So why is that a thing?
Well, multiple reasons. Trigger's Knife being gone. We talked about this a lot yesterday. Less wards on the map. If you fall behind, it is so difficult to get some wards near that Baron to prevent the enemy team from doing it early. So it's much easier to then get that big objective. And I also think it's important to highlight that teams just value getting Baron much more in the early game because they know the reward is so huge when they can have this Baron of command minion that just takes down the enemy base. So there's just a lot of reasons that people really want to get early Barons, and it's easier to do with less vision.
And I'm definitely not complaining because the games weren't all shorter. Some of them were, but on top of that, they were super action-packed. Every single game felt exciting from start to finish because of this higher skirmishes around these objectives.
Yeah, we just had a lot of fights, either in the early game where one team tried to get ahead of the other team, or then once a Banner of Command minion was on the map, you had to fight the enemy team to stop it from killing you. So you just had more reasons to fight, basically, in this meta.
Very fun. Well, we'll see more of patch 8.4 today as the teams look to pick up a win in the race for playoffs, with Fnatic and Vitality fighting for first place in our 4th game. And I want to take a minute to zoom in on that matchup. Fnatic versus Vitality. Fnatic has first place, but lost to Misfits just last week. Just yesterday, excuse me. Vitality broke their losing streak and won versus Sjokz. So this is a direct battle for first.
It is basically match of the week version 2.
Version 2.
Because we had the one yesterday, Fnatic Misfits, that was great. This one as well. I like the fact that, Vitality bouncing back. We can actually suddenly start hearing Gilius with some confidence again, talking about how he's going to smack Fnatic, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if yesterday was any indication, today should be just as explosive. In Deficio, you want to break down some of the team's highlights this week so far in their race for playoffs.
Some of the hype games we saw yesterday. I want to start with Misfits against Fnatic. That one really stood out because Misfits have kind of struggled in the late game when we watched the first few weeks, but yesterday against Fnatic, they got to the late game and they relied on Sjokz, on the Nivea, and Mickey on the Rakan, stealing Barons, engaging so well in all the different fights. And I'm so happy to see the 2 new members on Misfits play this well in a crucial game against the #1 team in Europe. So very good to see Misfits do well in the late game. And it gave us one of the most exciting match of the week games we have actually seen all split long. So that one definitely stood out. The next one, we already talked about Vitality. I want to talk more about Vitality because they finally bounced back. 4-game losing streak. Who remembers that? It's gone. It's now all about them trying to get first place. God Gilius showed up yesterday. He actually told me before the game, this is it. They got it. They fixed all the issues. They're going to win now. I didn't believe him, but he was right. They took down Schalke. Close game, yes. Doesn't matter in the end because Vitality just needed a win for some confidence. They got it, and now they're looking for that Fnatic game. The last one, though, Roccat. Also on a losing streak. Some members of the broadcast don't even believe they can make playoffs, but I think yesterday Roccat, and especially Memento, showed us that, well, they are in the race for sure. This kaSing's performance, less wards on the map, aggressive jungler. It was perfect from Memento's side, and he was the main reason they destroyed Giants, and of course they are still in that very important race for top 6. Another important game for them is today against Splyce, and I think if Memento plays like he did yesterday, they can win.
They can. Roccat and Memento were an absolute menace yesterday, but I said they'll have to continue that good performance. They're facing off against Splyce, direct playoff competitors, and Splyce, a bit out of nowhere for me. They came off a very important and impressive win versus G2. I would even say that for me, it was the most decisive win for them so far.
Best game they've played all split long. Early game, they were aggressive. They knew exactly which lane to play around. kaSing's Rakan, fantastic engages, and also Nisqy on Galio. Roaming champions for this man, and he's actually really good then. The main thing to highlight about him is communication. He knows where to be and he knows how to set up a play with his team. He showed that yesterday on that Galio.
We got to talk to kaSing afterwards. That was what he said as well. This is the way when we were all on the same page, when we were having these decisive moments. This is how we can win games. But one factor that was also very impressive and we didn't see from every team was Peter Dunn's read on the meta. This was a beautiful 8.4 composition.
Yeah, my favorite draft, if we look at all the games yesterday, G2 didn't even know what happened because in this meta, you want to have strong early game into really good Baron control, so you can get that Baron early and you can get the ban out command and you can win the game. So what they did is they said Xayah, one of the best lanes you can play, especially if you have very strong AD carry and support. Then Galio mid lane for Nisqy, perfect to actually snowball this lane. And the last one, but also very important, Cho'Gath top lane. What can Cho'Gath do? Nom the Baron. You get the Baron early, you can't really stop it as an enemy team, and you lose very fast.
Like a pop quiz for a second. What can he do? And I'm like, feast.
He can definitely feast.
What about Ivern?
Ivern was here and he did his job, but he wasn't that important.
No,
the other 4 members were more important.
He made the brush where the cannon minion could hide
He did do that. He did hide the cannon.
Super important.
And I guess technically that was one, but the other 4 was the real standout.
Well, TLDR, fantastic read on the meta from the side of Splyce. Roccat also having a good touch-up with the meta, that kaSing Xayah composition. So these teams are up versus each other, and Roccat is just 1 win behind Splyce in the standings. So everything comes down to this one. I know you're very impressed with Splyce's draft. I know you're also very impressed with Memento's Kha'Zix and Roccat yesterday. So who do you give it to?
I'm giving it to Splyce. I think they will finally get a 2-0 week for themselves because they're going to draft towards the early mid game. They can execute it and they can play around that bottom lane.
Well, we're almost ready for that match and for another day packed with action. And we want to know your highlights from Week 7. So hit us up at LOL Esports on Twitter with your big plays. We will check them out in the EULCS post-game lobby after our final game. For now, though, it is time to kick off the day. So let's send it over to our casters and hit that rift.
Thank you very much, Sjokz and Deficio. And hello, everybody. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, joined once again by the amazing Maurice Stuckenschneider. Maurice, welcome back to the caster desk. What were some of your favorite moments from yesterday?
A lot of them, especially Splyce comp that we already talked about, and I'm really glad that I'm not fired yet.
Well, we'll find out if you can keep the job. Let's take a look at the rosters starting on the blue side today. It is, of course, a team Roccat. They will be starting in the top lane with a Prophet, Memento in the jungle, Blanc, HeaQ, Norskeren rounds out the composition. And, of course, their opponents who got that fantastic win is, of course, Splyce. Now, both of these teams had great wins, both of them a little bit surprising. For Splyce, we just looked at that team composition where Odoamne, Xerxe, as well as Nisqy, Kobbe, and kaSing stepped up. Will they get that same power composition again, or would you target ban something, Maurice?
That Galio is not allowed in the game anymore. I think Galio is one of the priority picks that a lot of teams have been looking for in the pick and ban phase, and I do think that now people will actually ban it or take it away early game, so early in pick phase. So I don't think we're going to see quite the strength from Splyce anymore, but I do think that the take on their meta is really good, because especially the Ivern is a surprise pick that has come out only for them so far.
Talking about take on the meta, I mean, Roccat, they debuted the game yesterday. Memento played that kaSing. He played phenomenally, that's why it's banned. But all of Roccat, they got an early Baron, they played around those cannon minions. I mean, they really just looked like they understood how to take advantage of the powerful champions and items in the game.
Yeah, I really didn't like that pick ban, to be fair. I thought that picking Ornn into a Sion Braum composition was kind of iffy, but the way that they executed and displayed it on the kaSing, especially in the enemy jungle, like where he went to full Metal Gear and just hid behind the enemy lines and then trashed some steel back, Tristana in the back, was just really insane. So it's always taken away now because Splyce is prioritizing that. But yeah, like I'm looking forward to more aggression.
I'm seeing Jarvan raising priority here with Sedge, Skarner, Ivern, kaSing. I mean, Zach is still open as well. Is that a ban when there's 5 jungle bans, you just take another one out?
At this point, it seems like it, because a Zach first pick could actually mean that you don't really have a S-tier jungler and A-tier jungler anymore. I do think that J4 is still up there, but Zach still has a dominant force coming in.
We'll take a look. I mean, Jax is also something we've talked about in terms of the patch and power picks. Amazing. Braum is banned away. We saw that a lot. I know how much you like the pick, but I know how much Ryze was banned yesterday, and that's first picked instead.
Yeah, apparently with the new item changes, he definitely has gained a lot of strength because the Roa and the Seraph's Embrace together, like now the Seraph's Embrace actually given 20% CDR with the haste seed, with the haste
passive.
CD, passive, whatever. It's basically like just increasing his strength. And wireless interaction with the ultimate and the fucking sorry.
You're right. You're
Hourglass.
right. With the Hourglass is
not
gone
there anymore.
It's still the power pick, right?
Yeah.
It's still great wave clear. It's still got great utility. Nisqy, what does he run into it? I mean, looking down the history, Xayah is still his most played. Galio is open as well. He had a great game on Galio yesterday. Kobbe had a great game at Xayah as well. Zach's not a surprise, but what would you like to see into the Ryze from Nisqy?
I would really like just maybe the Cassiopeia. I think that's basically a pick that may be coming out right now. But I do think that we'll see a lot more Azir and Corki again. I don't think anything changes in that regard because they're still priority picks and even the item changes don't really hurt them too much.
No, they don't. And of course, Caitlyn once again for HeaQ. Yesterday, I loved the combination with that banner Baron empowered minion. Then put the Caitlyn snap traps in front of it.
Yeah.
Just make it so difficult to deal with that minion at range, and it just wrecks enemy bases.
Yeah, you can't really interact with that. And obviously we have to come back to the cannon minion changes that it's really dominant right now. So if you get a Nash and you have a lot of protection for it, there's no way of stopping it.
There's not. How do you stop Cassiopeia? It is a champion that we talked about in solo queue, we talked about yesterday, we didn't see it.
Yeah.
But now today it's locked in, and it's in the hands of Nisqy, who, he had a great game yesterday, but has not necessarily shined all split long when it comes to those hard carry type champions.
Yeah, he seems to be better, at least from my experience, because I played with him on Fnatic Academy to actually play more or less a supportive type role. But his Cassiopeia is definitely scary, so I'm happy to see it right here.
And do you like Cassiopeia into Ryze? I know that's like an old school, I don't use the word counter, but it's an old school pick that used to be run into Ryze a lot.
Yeah, the W basically counters the ultimate completely, where you basically put it down and Ryze cannot ult away anymore, and this interaction is really, really good for Cassiopeia. On top of that, Cassiopeia can actually lane against Ryze. The only thing is that Ryze has a lot of kill potential onto the mid lane, especially with any kind of ganking jungler coming in.
Yeah, ganking jungler, but goodness me, where's it gonna go? Jarvan, Jax, Skarner, kaSing, Ivern, Sejuani. There are so many jungle bans.
I think Memento is going to walk off stage right now because there's nothing left.
I mean, when we look down his last played, Camille and Evelyn are still in his kits.
But Camille and Evelyn both don't really have any kind of space in this meta. I do think that you're going to have to revert to some of the old classics and maybe a Volibear.
Oh, into short-range Cassio. You don't really want it into Zach. I mean, there's a lot of peel. Okay, if you were Memento shoes, what champion would you be looking at when you see what Splyce has?
It's kind of sad that he doesn't have access to the internet right now, so he can't look up like games of legends, whatever it is. So he can't quite just fall back into something, but he may have something in his memory. I remember him being a good Elise player. Maybe it's the Camille though.
Well, we'll find out because Camille is locked in. It could be for Profit in the top lane. It could be Memento in the jungle. I have wanted to see a Volibear in 8-4 because it's wrecking solo queue.
Yeah.
It's very powerful on this patch. And there's a few seconds left. It's going to be swapped away from. So, most likely, tank v tank top. Ornn should go that way. Camille, it's what Memento's played before.
I don't quite like the Camille pick. I think it's fine if you have a 1-3-1 combo, especially if you have Galio, which is something they ran early in the split. But if you have nothing that really interacts with it, I think the pick is kind of useless in the jungle because the clear time is not there. So we have to look forward to a lot of aggression from him, otherwise that pick is not going to work out for him.
What about the rest of the composition? We've got aggressive tendencies from Ornn, long-range engage, Ryze engage, as well as the support there from that Tahm Kench. So there are some tools to enable it.
Yeah, basically the Ryze is going to look forward to being on a silent all game long because the Tahm Kench can easily ultimate towards him. The Camille offers a lot of kill potential. Whereas on the other side of Splyce, we have a full-on teamfight coming with a dominant AD carry force in Kobbe's Xayah, where the Zilean is just going to buff him completely and enable him throughout the game.
What do you think of Zilean, by the way? Because it's sort of a kaSing signature pick. We were talking about it before the show. He always hovers the champion, has picked it a few times this year. Does it fit? Do you like it?
I think I chose it for him when we talked about Splyce ideal comp because I do think that kaSing is one of the only people in EU and only supports in EU that can viably pull off range supports, where other supports are kind of more on the gauge role and they're only comfortable with that, whereas kaSing can actually play the backline a lot more and interact with his AD carry and buff him up completely.
Well, when you've got Cassiopeia and Xayah, having that ability to bring them back to life is extremely important. And of course, Roccat and Splyce, both of them 1-0, both of them with kind of surprising wins yesterday. Roccat looked so clean against Giants, and Splyce took down G2. with a fantastic performance. What we're going to be looking for today is whether or not they can keep up that level of play. So we're looking for some consistency and for some strong early advantages. Who's going to win the laning phase in terms of the matchups? You know, when we see who's going to have some push priority and 1v1s and the 2v2s.
In theory, now that Odoamne opted for the Arcane Command, at least like the top side of the map should be Splyce's. But, and this is the big but, is basically that the bot side of the map will be contested for Roccat and they should win out because you have a lot of kill potential onto Nisqy with the Ryze and Camille together. Even if he cleanses, he's not going to get out and the bottom lane should be pushing in. So we'll see about that.
All right, so top and bottom kind of split. And we're loading up now. Both of these teams deep, deep, deep into the playoff race. Roccat, 6 wins and 7 losses. They actually beat Splyce the last time they faced off in week 2. And of course, if they pick up a win here, they're going to be tied at 7-7, still in the playoff race, still in the hunt for the top 6. And if you do want that magical 10-way tie at 9 wins and 9 losses to happen, you want Roccat to win. But that would be some crazy shenanigans, and I don't think it's that likely.
I'm not sure the casters are quite up for that challenge, like having to cast 10 games in a row, whatever it is, because that tiebreaker scenario is actually insane if that happens.
It is. I don't even know if we have any like production days booked to handle that many games. We have to plan ahead. But let's talk about the next few minutes here. Camille, Zach, it's not a matchup that we've seen a whole lot. Who's going to have the advantage at what stages of the game?
Camille is going to be all early game. There's no way for Zach to actually out-trade her to interact with her because Camille, she can always get out, she can always engage. There's no way for Xerxe to actually land this E, which is basically the spell that is going to give him the CC necessary.
Let's see where Memento decides to spend his time. As we said, player once the split ended up being a loss. He went 2, 4, and 6. He has 6 assists.
I remember that game vividly because there were some Jinx traps kind of like, you know, interfering with his way of engaging where he just jumped into them, died, and lost the game for his team. Hope that doesn't continue or happen again because I suppose Jinx in this game is also unlikely at this point.
Oh, yes. There are some Caitlyn traps, but this time they're on his team.
Oh, he's
right? They're on his team.
He's fine then.
He's going to be fine. But of course, the guys behind the champions, Memento and Xerxe, yesterday they had very good performances, both of them, but in different ways. Memento's kaSing, slightly lower jungle proximity than Xerxe's. But when you look at their kills and assists at 15 minutes, just a fantastic performance for everybody. Xerxe, he wasn't necessarily farming minions, but it's because he was farming champions.
Yeah, for me, these two junglers have always been more on the passive side, more on the vision-heavy side for their teams. So them actually stepping up to the occasion, actually being aggressive early game, basically enable their teams. And that's something that I want to see come this game, because it's really important for Roccat and Splyce to adapt to the meta, because so far they have been really passive. And I think that will not survive in 8.4.
No, it won't. And of course, Roccat, they showed that they can adapt with yesterday's game. Yeah. Really, really good early advantages. Memento's kaSing. I think you called it the Metal Gear Solid plays. Invading and, you know, jumping into the face of giants. It's going to be a bit more difficult on the Camille. It's something else I'm noticing on the Roccat squad. 3 sets of minion dematerializer.
They're really scared.
We have to see how long they hold on to them, right? Because if you don't keep it for the banned minions, what else are you keeping it for?
Yeah, basically for nothing. I think they're going to keep like 2 each just to make sure that 3 banners are not going to destroy the game for them.
No, they're not. Blanc's going to get a good overload there onto Nisqy. Trading damage. He's got the Unsealed Spellbook. Glacial Augment for Norskeren's Tahm Kench along with the Ignite. I'm just looking at some of the rest of the keystones. We saw a lot of Glacial Augment Sion yesterday. But as you've already alluded to, Odoamne opting for the Comet this time around. Get that poke, get some control in lane. Where will Splyce focus their attention? Xerxe's level 4. Neither jungler's done any sort of real invade, any real sort of pressure yet. So a lot of options still available.
I think Xerxe has a different role today than he had yesterday, where he's more likely just going to be the supportive kind of type, where he's going to walk behind lanes, maybe put a pink ward down, maybe put a twink down, and not really going to actively focus until basically the bottom lane spikes and the mid lane spikes, where they can actually roam off of the mid and bot lane and basically make plays around the bottom side of the map.
Okay, wait and scale. Assuming no mistakes happening, assuming they're in 4 behind, it's not too bad a strategy. First backs have gone in. Tiers for both mid laners. We get to actually talk about some of these mid lane itemization changes, because yesterday's Azir and Corki, we didn't see a lot of it. It was the Triforce and the Nash's Tooth. what items do you like on Ryze and Cassiopeia on this patch? Although, hold that thought, because Xerxe's going to come in. Stretching strikes, not going to connect. Blanc's going to sidestep, run all the way around.
Really risky gank for Xerxe there. If he was actually counter ganking that point, I think it would have been exposed, but he probably read Memento perfectly and thought about it and just went for it. Nothing happened, but still a good try.
Yeah, good attempt, and I'm going to go back to the itemization.
Yeah.
Of course, those AP items changed in patch 8.4. We've seen a lot of them, but we didn't see too many of them yesterday. So, obviously, Luden's has changed, GLP's changed, Morello, Nomicon, Leandri's. What are you seeing from solo queue? Every time I want to talk, amazing. There's some sort of shenanigans, and we will get a chance to talk about in a moment, but Noxious Blast will give Nisqy some movement speed to chase. And finally, you can answer my question.
I shall. I think that the new Xerxe, basically the 20% CDR that now gives, is really, really efficient for both parties, where Nisqy, especially like with the Cassiopeia, will benefit a lot from it because she can just spam spells all the time. But the Leandri's Torment is actually an interesting thing now. Not going to come off for the Ryze, but I do expect it for Nisqy.
Okay, expect it for Nisqy. Second item? After the Xerxe?
Second or third.
Okay.
Really depends on how obviously tanky Memento is going to get, because for Camille it's always the choice between AD jungle item or a tank jungle item. I also call it like troll or not choice, because in the end, if you go full AD and you don't have any Galio on your team, you're really squishing team fights. So I hope to see him go the tanky route.
Oh, such a difficult situation. I mean, Galio, of course, was banned this game, so going to be a slightly more difficult game for Memento, but he showed yesterday he can play it. His Kha'Zix was very good. He picked the right engages at the right time. And as a team, Roccat were always there to support him. They always followed the engages. They were always making use of the vision. Right now, there's no real vision to talk about. And it's
Red
just...
contest.
Yes, just...
something is happening.
Trading some jungles.
Yeah, basically when the map is just... You have no vision to contest, or you have no vision to place, which is obviously the case on 8.4. Contesting race is really important, because even though the comeback experience is not high anymore, as they set up for a gank on the side with kaSing, actually. Ooh. So I hope... They're gonna actually...
Cheeky play. There's the flash already. Very good respect flash from Blanc.
Yeah, he had to flash that, because if Xerxe lands on top of him and he gets another bomb on top of him too, he's also going to be stunned. So that combination would have been fated for him.
How much does it hurt Kobbe, though? Because he's down 11 CS in that lane. For what it's worth, Blanc is up around 16 CS. Prophet is up a wave and a half of CS. It's CS advantages in every single lane for Roccat.
Yeah, they play... Obviously, the Caitlyn was supposed to win, and the Ryze to a certain extent with the kill pressure too. So basically, when you play against Caitlyn at this point, especially in 8.4, I think, with Tristana kind of nerfs, you basically throw your towel. You kind of have to give up the laning phase to a certain extent and just hope to scale against it, because there's still that power hole that I think Cyanide once talked about. We're not going to reference that too much.
What was that quote? Amazing, because, you know...
I think it was something about useless and nipples.
Oh, yeah. For any of the legacy viewers, maybe you can remind us of what that quote was. Go dig it up. Cyanide legacy quote. I'm sure you'll find it. But regardless, we're trolling a little bit. I actually have a different tweet for you. All right, this comes from @GrievanceLol.
That's the manager.
There we go. The lads reckon my tweets suggesting we'll go 2-0 each week are causing the 1-1 curse. So no tweet today, just wishing our lads luck.
But isn't he tweeting?
Agreed. And looking forward to joining them at the studio again today. And of course, this is the Splyce manager, is that right?
Shut up already, Jesus.
Yes, there we go. Okay, thank you for reading the reply from Odoamne. I believe that still counts as the caster curse. Much like yesterday, where every single member of the broadcast team predicted G2 to take down Splyce, and they said to us to shut up, because Splyce ended up winning.
Yeah, I mean... Sometimes managers are a bit overeager, and personally having worked with Grant, he had to put on a monkey costume once when he was on stage with us, so he's definitely more on the excited side, so him actually having to, you know, cut down the tweets makes sense.
Yeah, definitely a mysterious decision to do that one. But listen, we're approaching 10 minutes. It's dead even as far as the gold is concerned. Yes, there are some CS discrepancies here, but we've got plenty of time to look at the mid game. To me, it feels like the Roccat comp might be a little bit stronger in the mid game. Some tools to engage. I like some of the synergy. What's your take on who's going to have the advantage?
I think it really depends on how they play the map, because I do think if they bring in the Ryze, they should have the mid-game advantage. But if the lanes stay as they are, Splyce is going to scale, and Kobbe and kaSing are going to take over the bot lane. So mid-game advantage really depends on how much the mid lanes are involved.
Nice. And of course, for Blanc, he's going to have that Realm Warp and the Unsealed Spellbook. So a couple of more options to get involved. Whereas Nisqy, with no boots and Cassiopeia and Flash only, the action sort of needs to come to him, really. Or as a team, Splyce need to plan their moves correctly. Decide when they're going to go for an objective, decide when they're going to...
Seems to be that the Ryze is actually opting for the Abyssal Mask first item, because he has the negative cloak right there.
Let's take a look what happens. Another gank in the mid lane, and another time that Blanc's going to be able to escape. He took almost no damage. Xerxe, kaSing, Nisqy are trying over and over and over, and Blanc is just completely outplaying them.
He's completely unfazed by the pressure being put up, so I like his playstyle a lot right now. He's actually respecting the enemy and the enemy kill potential, and they're actually engaging on Xerxe right now.
All right, now Xerxe, the first time he's really caught out, forced to use that Let's Bounce, gets away with his life for now. That looked a little sketchy as the animation seemed to cancel. But he escapes with his life and no flash blown.
It was really intelligent by Memento to actually wait for a second E to actually... He waited at the wall and waited for it to come off, because Xerxe didn't need to flash in the end. Actually, he didn't flash.
No, it was just that Let's Bounce. The animation
really?
kind of like
Yeah, it really looks weird.
Yeah, it looked very strange. I do think that was a bit of a spectator moment.
Oh. Well,
but either way...
That takes away my point, but...
There we go.
Anyway, the engage by Memento was definitely something you should look forward to, and look for more often now.
Look, in contrast to yesterday, neither jungler has had anywhere near the same impact. But that's why they're going for a tower dive with a teleport as well. All right, 5-man party in the bottom lane, and Roccat are invited. Memento's going to go for that hook shot, gets the knock up onto kaSing. kaSing still got the regen passive alive. Prophet dashes forward, but there's no support behind him. Tower first blood is secured as Norskeren gets the devour and spits Prophet back out. Now Splyce are looking for the re-engage. Odoamne has already used the unstoppable onslaught, and at the end of the party, only the tower goes down.
Yeah, they probably just tried to get something on top. As he got shot by
I got electrocuted by the box, and as I jumped, it gave me a bit of a fright.
Oh man. But yeah, like the TV behind, basically, if you get the cherry on top, it's fine, but securing the turret is definitely fine for Roccat too. But Splyce got the dragon return now.
They do get the dragon, but I think the gold and the opening up the map is arguably a little bit better here for Roccat. And I want to just take a closer look at Blanc as well, because he had such a good laning phase. He's come out ahead on CS. He had a very good performance yesterday as well. And take a look at his stats: 4-1 and 6, 91% kill participation. It really tells you how much the team played around and played together yesterday.
Yeah, nothing is happening without Blanc. Even in this game, he's basically been the focal point of both Splyce and Roccat. Roamed to the bot lane, been ganked by Splyce a couple of times, so they know who to shut down.
All right, Roccat though, because of the sort of sequence of plays, Roccat get the tower off the dive, recall, Splyce get dragon, means Memento gets an uncontested Rift Herald, and there's already a pretty heavy push in the top lane here. HeaQ's working towards that Infinity Edge, and look, laning phase hasn't ended. That's still a very effective Caitlyn.
I may have misevaluated that matchup. I really thought that Kobbe and kaSing would at this point maybe take over, but I think it's going to take at least until they get the Essence Reaver and maybe even a couple of ganks, because this Caitlyn is still running rampage on the lane.
He's going to take a lot of damage there from the push forward. Kobbe and kaSing keeping themselves relevant, still keeping themselves fighting. And by the way, minion dematerializes still with Norskeren and Prophet. So I want to see how long they hold on to them. It still takes an item slot.
Yeah, that's the dangerous part about it. But the good thing is, Odoamne already has his man of command, so they have to respect that, because it can come out at any time, especially in 6 minutes when the Nashor spawns. It's going to be really, really dangerous, as we saw yesterday already.
Oh man, the Banon minions. That's what I kept calling them yesterday. I'm happy it's stuck, because Deficio said it as well. Baron of Command plus Banon. Yeah, Baron of Command plus Baron buff. There we go. Add those two together, and minions hulk out like Bruce. You know? That's how it works. Somebody wants to call them Hulk minions. Yay! There we go.
There's one.
That doesn't quite stick.
No. We should count the shots, actually, at this point.
We should, but there's no Baron buff. So...
Yeah, He's weak.
But Ryze is going to take a very, 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 very long time to kill this
The
thing.
funniest thing about this is that Odoamne is getting all the gold from this. So basically, he's just like, Nisqy, I'm going to tax Zilean too.
Of course, because Odo summoned the minion, he's getting the last hit, stealing the CS from Nisqy. But looking at that, actually, Kobbe is really the only guy that can kill those minions on the Splyce side. Because Cassiopeia is going to have a really tough time. Odo and Xerxe are going to have a really tough time. Like, at least HeaQ is going to have a little bit more range on that Caitlyn.
Yeah, there's no other way for them to deal with it. But I think you cannot quite plan the pick ban for that, because otherwise you would have to go AD mid every time. That's impossible, because there's so little AD damage that can actually be viable in the mid lane right now that it makes no sense to play around.
No, it really doesn't. And of course, you still need to get an early Baron. Right at the top of show, you know, Sjokz told everybody the Baron numbers. Yesterday, the average first Baron time was 24.5 minutes. And before that, it was 27 minutes 40. So like 3 minutes quicker. You still need to take that Baron to unlock the play, and that means you need to have an early advantage. That's what Splyce are looking to set up. First Blood is still available. Kobbe's gonna escape with that Feather Storm.
Didn't need to ult.
Continuing to shut them down. Xerxe's engaged. Let's bounce. Takes one back. First Blood picked up by Splyce. Norskeren's grey health keeps him alive a few seconds longer. He continues to get ticked down. And unfortunately, this time around, Blanc did not respond. Splyce get the kill. They're looking for the tower as well.
Memento did not respect the Zac ultimate. He should have seen out to flash out, and he didn't do it at all. Got counter gained and paid for it.
Oh, really nicely done. This is the first time a game on this patch has gone past 15 minutes without a kill being secured. So, slow early game, but Splyce, they even the game out. They get the kill, they get the tower. They take a very small gold lead, and break me through some of the key spells that secured this kill.
Yeah, basically, Memento's try here is completely blind. He didn't know where Zac was. He went in with the E, and he tried to connect with the ultimate, but there was no way he could. And once you're basically stuck in that kind of situation, Zac has an easy way to execute them together. He actually had no ability to flash. There was no way he's going to get out of that.
And you know, it just reminds me of that story you were telling, Amazing. You were talking about a Caitlyn outside of the laning phase. And do you know, I happen to have a tweet. Outside of the laning phase, for the next 10 to 15 minutes, Caitlyn is about as useful as nipples on a man. Woo! Now, for those of you who are surprised to hear that, that is originally quoted by Cyanide, former jungler for Fnatic. And of course, reminded by the legacy jungler now with me on the casting desk. Amazing.
Oh man, yeah, that quote. he had his way around words.
He did. Elegant speaker, you know? Truly, truly elegant. But the one thing that's
Shakespeare.
the one thing that's he didn't know about at the time, Cyanide, he could not have predicted the power of Banon minions and the Caitlyn trap to protect it.
I wonder what he's going to compare that to. Like how useful those are.
We'll have to find out.
We should ask him.
Who is more likely to get Baron first? We've got banners of command being worked on, being worked towards. There's still minion dematerializers for Roccat, which we're going to follow. And Baron's coming up in a minute and a half. And he'll answer that in a moment or two. Kobbe's just going to get run down here. That was just a mistake.
Beautiful flashy by Memento, securing the kill, leaving no opportunity for Kobbe to actually ult out with a Featherstone.
Really nicely done. Make sure he locks him down. But that was just a mistake. There was no tower to push for, no real deep vision.
Hey man, is it a mistake if you get a couple more minions? You know, that's going on in his head, I suppose. But yeah, on a map scale, when you're alone as an AD carry, facing a mid laner, expect someone to back him up.
Wow, HeaQ's now the next target. Devour was used. Very well timed. HeaQ gets stunned up. Grey health is popped. The bombs continue to chase him down because they're attached on his head. They don't follow him. Regardless, Splyce do not get a follow-up kill. They do get a lot of damage onto the tower. And with the threat that Odoamne provides, now all of a sudden Roccat are on the defensive.
Yeah, HeaQ was always in safety, but I do think that Nisqy could have all in for Norskeren because he should have known that the flash is down because he used the top lane. So him just kind of going out was unexpected.
Unexpected indeed. And Prophet, by the way, has used one of those charges on the dematerializer. The only reason I keep bringing attention to it and talking about it, we saw how impactful that strategy can be yesterday. Prophet is now running for his life. Nisqy goes down a Noxious Blast. Twin Fang off the Twin Fang. The Miasma is going to block the ability to use any movement abilities. But Prophet is locked out of place. A Decimating Smash holds him down. One more little dash forward, and despite a long run around, Nisqy does get the kill with Twin Fangs at the cost of the mid-outer turret.
Not sure if that was worth it because now Roccat can actually rotate towards the top of the map. They expected this kill to go down way faster, but it didn't.
All right, who's playing the map better? That's what I want you to tell me about in a moment or two. Blanc's going to get a couple more autos onto the top outer turret, but Odo teleported in to defend it, and as it stands, Splyce with a kill advantage, Roccat with a tower advantage.
I do think that Roccat right now is understanding the map a bit more because they're already playing towards the top side. I do think that Nisqy now has to be pressuring the top side of the map, basically be on the top lane, pressure on the Ryze, and have maybe the Sion actually back him up and get a gank off, because killing Prophet doesn't do anything for you. Killing the top side of the map does.
All right. Bottom tower will at least be an equalizer, albeit a little bit longer, a little bit later. And this map is just slowly becoming more open. The fact that Splyce don't have a mid tower to fall back to, though, and the fact they're playing on red side, should give Roccat a little bit more freedom and wiggle room around Baron. You know, push out mid, they've got a top tower that's very, very low. Try to get that deep vision and then try to make a play around Baron.
Yeah, especially now with the lack of vision that you actually have from your jungle, you kind of need to have basically create vision another way. And how you do that is actually have minion waves pushing in, because they actually create vision for you. Because in the end, you know, you see the map through them.
Yeah, exactly. More information allows you to make smarter calls. But this is really tense. 21 minutes in, and really not a lot has separated these teams. It's surprising me because yesterday both teams played the early game so well, they looked so confident. This is a much slower, much more, I don't know, deliberate team. You know, they're not pushing advantages. Amazing.
I think it's down to the comps too. I think the kaSing picks, for example, for Memento was really important, because even if they saw you, they wouldn't see you afterwards for a while because of the stealth mechanic in his ultimate. Whereas for Splyce, obviously the early game with Xerxe especially, but yeah, T5 breaks out.
It does indeed. Hextech Ultimatum is thrown down by Memento. A lot of damage in reply. Roccat started this fight and they're already losing it. Call of the Forge God goes out and Splyce are running for their lives. Odoamne choo-choo gets away. The unstoppable onslaught for the retreat. And it ends up meaning Splyce get the kill and get out with their lives. They're not indeed stretching Spike. Now Kiss! Norskeren's pulled backwards. A double tag on the bomb means he's stunned up. Prophet goes forward with that bellows breath to escape this time round. Stunned up once again. kaSing chasing down. Gets the kill onto Prophet. Despite the autos, HeaQ's about as useful as nipples on a man. And Splyce are 4-1 up.
We finally see the strength of Splyce's comp, where they can just jump in and find the engages that they want. Zilean buffing the team. There's no way to escape that.
None whatsoever, and Splyce are now taking command. Another engage from Xerxe. Got no minions to connect with, but that will get the flash, and that is so important for the next few minutes in team fight.
Roccat is not respecting the extra range of Zach at all. They have to kind of understand Zach can actually jump over wards that we cannot see through.
Oh man, so Roccat get punished. They started that fight. All those jungle bans put Memento on Camille.
And he looks uncomfortable on it. I think the engage that he's trying to force basically put him in such a bad spot. He's getting one shot. As we see here, we get one shot earlier. I criticize the Camille pick, and I think right now he really has to take a step back and just wait for a couple of items, because if he cannot one-shot the backline, there's no use for him. But we see the chase down potential here, for example. Prophet even trying to save his team, he's just getting rooted up, and they can run him down with the Zilean bombs and CC mechanics together.
Oh, it's really tough to get away. Sion, Zach, and Zilean. I've got a lot of tools that can stack on top of one another.
Does Zilean's movement speed buff actually buff Sion's ultimate in terms of like the...
I don't see why not, if you can throw that down earlier.
I need to know now.
I will have to find out. Unfortunately, I don't play either champion, so I don't have any first-hand experience. And of course, kaSing, by the way, he went for that Ardent Sensor. He's working towards the Banner of Command now. There's already 2 on the side of Roccat. Obviously, Odoamne has had his for quite a while. Still a couple of minion dematerializers on the Roccat side. So yesterday they showed they can play the meta, they understand it. Today they're holding on to that in case Splyce can get a Baron and then start to pressure that way around.
Yeah, 4 of the minion dematerializers should be enough for one Ben minion. I'm saying that too. To basically like just cancel it out, but yeah.
Yeah, hold in place. And by the way, while we were in that replay, amazing, the top tier 1 tower fell in favor of Roccat.
Finally.
They were able to take that down.
Roccat is actually not that far behind. It feels a lot more like Splyce is in complete control of the map, because they do have so much engage potential that Roccat has to respect. So them getting the top lane turret is actually a welcome sight.
I got an update from the production team. that the movement speed buff does not aid this Sion ultimate.
That's just boring.
It is boring, you know, maybe we'll
Why even play it?
Well, we'll have to fix that one maybe. But look, 25 minutes in and Splyce, they're just chipping away the lead. Is their composition capable of playing the late game? Do you like the late game options available to them to now extend this lead further and take charge of the game?
Yeah, I like Splyce's comp a lot more than Rocket's at this point, because Zach is a really broken champion. When he gets a couple of items, there's no way of stopping him, and the carries scale better too.
How specifically will they unlock the composition? What, you know, what play, what pick, what vision do you want to see from them in order to push this further?
You just gotta push, again, like it's the same concept every game, almost where you push down mid lane because you have a 4-1 comp, you walk in the top side of the map, get the vision gun, like put it down with a support obviously because the jungle doesn't have the side stone anymore, the tracker's knife. So yeah, basically control the top side completely, walk back into the Nash pit and bait it because Splyce cannot start it right now, I think.
By the way, there's a couple of question mark things down in the bottom lane.
Really?
Splyce couldn't start it because Odoamne is dealing with his banner-empowered minion.
Question mark.
There was 2 banner minions fighting each other, and Odo had to stick around to help his out to take it down. Interesting to note, you can see now Baron Nashor is the focus for both teams. They're pushing vision. Every team that got the first Baron yesterday went on to win the game. And if we look at the standings for the split, let's assume Splyce can use this lead and Splyce can take that Baron and then Splyce can win the game. They're going to be tied in second for 8 wins.
Yeah, that's incredible. Like Splyce was, I mean, obviously they win 1-1 every week, but they still looked inconsistent where I could not place them in the rankings. Them actually stepping up now, maybe having a 2-0 week, basically puts them at the top.
Every single week, the Euphoria podcast and their guests have ranked Splyce very, very highly. And Splyce this week are looking good. They took down G2 yesterday. They've etched and clawed this advantage after 27 minutes, and now they're setting up around Baron. And remember, every team yesterday got Baron that used that banner of command, could then go forward, but every team yesterday did not have 4 dematerializer stacks to use to try and counter that strategy. So there is still some counterplay for Roccat despite what happens here, Amazing.
Seems to be that Roccat actually has to give up Nash because Splyce can easily rush it down now. They're not in position to contest.
They're not, but they're going to teleport over the wall! Memento does it! He steals the Baron from Splyce! And remember the stat! The ensuing team fight, Call of the Forge God is good. It slows down Kobbe. He's running for his life now. Locked in place by the Hextech ultimatum. And Splyce, what have you done? Roccat are decimating them, destroying them, and deconstructing Splyce where they stand.
Neither me nor Splyce accounted for the Tahm Kench ultimate, bringing in Memento behind the team and allowing him to steal the Nash from the backside. Just a really, really well set up play by Roccat.
I did not believe for a second that was going to happen.
Especially because the Nash was down to 400 HP. I think we're going to see a replay, hopefully. But yeah, if the Nash is that low, Xerxe, smite it. It's not that hard. We see them rushing it down. Norskeren setting up the Tahm Kench ultimate, bringing the Camille in behind, and we see how low the Nash is. It's 400 HP.
Oh,
the smite is ready.
Kidding me?
I've been there, done that, but when it gets that low, you have to secure it. It's just
unbelievable. Okay, now the ensuing team fight. Splyce is split up. It just looked chaotic, and they just run down.
Yeah, it's a lot about, at that point, also like tilting to a certain extent. I don't want to call it tilters, but when you lose the Nash, you expected to get it, you expected no contest, and suddenly it's gone. You're not going to necessarily be properly team fighting afterwards, and he's actually really happy about that.
There is no doubt in my mind that Norskeren has the best facial reactions of the Spring Split in the EU LCS. He dabs, he dances, and he damn well enjoys the good plays.
That's such a welcome sight from Rookie. When I started out, I was always so tense. I didn't even want to move on stage. But yeah, he seems entirely comfortable, and I'm happy seeing it.
Now, we just showed the standings a moment ago. If Splyce were to win, they'd be tied for 3rd. If Roccat are to win, they tie Splyce at 7 wins and 7 losses in the middle of the table. And look at that. Banner of Command, Empowered Minion. No dematerializers on Splyce side. Caitlyn traps to protect this minion. And of course, if anything does break out, Call of the Forge God from Prophet, that's another tool. The answer from Odoamne, an unstoppable onslaught. He goes forward. Devour from Norskeren will buy some time. Realmore brings Blanc back into the fight. and a couple of Roccat pings on the top lane, but Splyce successfully defends.
What I like about the Sion pick is that every time you have the cannon minion down, the banner minion, you just engage and you basically force fight. Ryze was in the mid lane, they saw the opportunity, they cleared out the wave, and that was it.
Oh, unbelievable. Memento, it's his third Baron steal this split. He's actually tied with Max Law for Baron steals.
Didn't he get 2 in one game? Versus
so.
God Gileas, I remember.
I think so. A lot of people have got Baron steals from God Gileas. Despite his #1 ranking on the Gileas jungler tier list. When he smite fights, he's pretty low down, I think.
I mean, smite fighting is always a bit hard. The one that comes in, tries to steal, has the psychological advantage, because in the end, he has nothing to lose, whereas the one that sets up for it has everything to lose.
Exactly. It's about setting the precedent, right? All right, Splyce, by the way, they will at least get something. It's the third dragon of the game. The next one's going to be Elder, and that will come up just after 36 minutes. With 3 dragons, no dragons for Roccat, that's going to be some late game insurance. But Splyce are now playing defensive. Let's turn our attention to Roccat. The obvious answer here, protect this minion, but Baron buff is just worn off, so you can see how little impact it is.
Yeah, so Xayah does a lot of damage to it anyway, so they can't actually set up every wave with it, wait for the Nashor again, and then do it properly.
Wait for Nashor, do it properly. I mean, that was the comeback moment, right? For Roccat, they were losing. That was the thing that got them even and now marginally ahead.
Yeah, there's always going to be momentum plays in every game. And especially if you set up for Nash, you think it's easy, the enemy gets it. It really tilts in their favor.
It really does. I'm just trying to count banners. It's still 2 on both sides. As we've now gone past 30 minutes, it's a 3,000 gold lead for Roccat, 4 towers to 3. Armor pens being picked up for HeaQ. He's starting to become more useful because we're past that 10 to 15 minutes after laning phase. And as the siege is being set up in the mid lane, Odoamne and Splyce, they're going to brute force their way in.
You still have to care for Caitlyn traps because she does so much damage even on the front line.
Is there a flanking opportunity?
I think it's really hard right now to actually flank unless you can basically one-shot a target. And I don't think that Memento alone has the ability to do so. If Ryze comes in from side 2, it can happen.
Talk to me a little bit more about this Cassiopeia in the late game. Liandry's Torment has now been completed. We know the team comp that she's playing into, and you can see the changes. Madness Damage Champions is increased by 2% until you exit combat, and then obviously the max health per second damage. There's still a lot of burn that's going to help you against Prophet and Norskeren.
Yeah, especially on Cassiopeia with her Q poison, basically. The Torment is going to stay on it, and she's going to stay in combat with that too, so it's a perfectly synergizing item for her.
What do you think into the the composition, playing into long-range engage from Ornn, the baby cage from Memento?
The baby cage.
Yeah, the devour from Norskeren. Like there's also tools to deal with Cassiopeia's damage, right?
Pretty tough though. The thing is that Cassiopeia still, especially with the front end that they have, like Splyce has, Sion and Xayah, that he shouldn't really be engaged upon, and worst case, he can still be revived by the Zilean.
Very good point. kaSing's gonna have to stick back, use that chrono shift as best he can. Talking about kaSing, the Zilean, we've seen the stuns working out. He's obviously had the Ardent Sensor for a little while, got that banner for a little while. But it's still going to be a very difficult game now for Splyce. They're on the defensive. They've only got 2 towers left outside their base. And 1 minute to Baron. So who's going to set this up more effectively?
It should be whoever gets a top lane push and whoever sets up for it earlier, because I do think that right now, obviously, even though we're in 8.4, even though the game is more aggressive in the early game, the late game doesn't change. It's still a 4-1 standoff or 5v5 standoff where whoever controls mid and top is going to get the Nash.
Mid and top. Right, looking at the minion waves, mid seems to be Splyce's control. Miasma comes down. Prophet's able to easily escape. And Odoamne will not find a target. Realm Warp is used defensively there by Blanc to go from top lane into the jungle, but it means it's on cooldown for the ensuing Baron fight. That was the tool that allowed Blanc to win the team fight. Norskeren engaged with his ultimate, and now Xerxe is going to go for the
engage. I like this setup a lot.
Charge up, but he's not going to follow it.
The thing is that he actually just tried to engage to get basic Roccat out of the mid lane, so they have a push up and they have this setup on Nash, which they now execute perfectly well.
Look at the mini-map. Bottom lane pushing towards Roccat, top lane pushing towards Splyce. The Forge God is called and Xerxe answers the phone. kaSing's knocked up on the back end, is now Odo's in trouble. Locked inside, the Hextech ultimatum, being revived by the Chrono Shift. He's back up and alive. His passive now gets popped, and from beyond the grave, he's now going to start wailing on Roccat. I take that back. He can't even get in range. Roccat find the kill, and Splyce are running for their lives.
Yeah, as I was commenting on Splyce actually having a good Nash setup, they over-engaged. It was too far. There was no way that the carries could actually follow up, and Odoamne was a sacrificial in.
Is there any more sacrifices being made? Blanc, he sacrifices Flash. Probably going to get 1 or 2 autos onto Prophet, and Memento brought into the back line. I'm going to go back to that tweet we read 20 minutes ago. Splyce's manager, did he jinx them? Did he send a tweet that set Splyce up for a 1-1 week? Let's see what happens with this Baron. Xerxe's got Smite available.
On Kobbe. He's completely zoned out of the team fight now.
There's been 1 Smite steal already. Xerxe's thinking about going in. Chrono Shift is available. He's inside the pit. 1900, 1200, 800. The steal is on, and Xerxe gets out. Ace in the hole will pop his passive. No, Chrono Shift saves him.
My God.
Are you kidding me? 2 steals in 1 game.
I mean, you know, sometimes you just gotta be a nice guy and just equalize the bill, and that's exactly what Memento did for Xerxe here. Leaves up the Smite, leaves up the Nasher to be smitten away, and Xerxe takes the chance.
I am so shocked. Where is the burst damage here from Roccat? I mean, looking for the Smite, looking for the Smite.
Oh God.
It doesn't even look like Memento gets it in time.
I think they just didn't account for the amount of damage that Xayah Feathers actually do, and the double bombs off of Zilean. The complete burst damage off of Splyce was probably more than the actual smite damage off of Memento, and there's no way of countering that.
I have another amazing quick stat for you, Maurice. With Xerxe's steal, he now brings his total to 3 for the split.
So they're all tied.
Joining the elite club of Max Law, Memento, and Xerxe in the Guild of Thieves. Oh man, what a fantastic, fantastic game this has been in the mid to late game now.
Well, Memento does have the opportunity to now revenge himself again when he gets the drag down, potentially.
Oh, big damage onto Memento. He's so squishy.
The free dragon at this point. There's no way for them to contest. I criticized his item choices earlier. I don't think that an AD jungle works right now unless you're Lee Sin and amazing. You know, that doesn't work.
Well, Memento and Xerxe are channeling El Bandito this game. Each of them pulling off the Baron steals, but Splyce have Baron buff, and have Banner of Command, have a 3 Drake Elder. Now there are 3 minion dematerializers for Norskeren. Those are the only ones in the pit.
Yeah, the better minion actually doesn't matter as much right now because he cannot really be buffed besides obviously like the initial buff of the Banner of Command. So
look at this minion wave. It is gigantic for Splyce. 1 shot, 2 shot. The Banner minion gets chunked out and the dematerializer was used. Norskeren's already popped 1 of those procs, and Roccat will live to defend their base. 5 Caitlyn traps prevent Splyce going further. And by the way, HeaQ already upgraded his Infinity Edge thanks to Ornn. Got himself that Molten Edge.
You cannot 5v5 on a turret though against Caitlyn. There are too many traps. You cannot play against them unless they find a proper engage. Splyce will not get a turret here.
Wow, 5 traps become 4 as it is now once again renewed. So Roccat defending very well, amazing.
Yeah, there are too many sideways set up too. You have mid lane actually being equalized and have the bot lane pushing in. Splyce has to set up waves properly and then they can actually use this dragon buff, but I think they wasted it.
Oh, so tough. Now remember, yesterday, first Baron led to a win. First Baron in this game was Rockat's. They stole it. So really, who owned that Baron? That's the the question you have to answer. Because as it stands, Splyce stole 1 back. And as we get to 40 minutes, the game just resets, right? Baron's going to wear off, Elder's going to wear off in a little while. And I feel like we're waiting for another Baron.
Yeah, we have to. I think this dragon was not well used. I think that the whole setup has to be again, and that's going to be this Baron dance once more.
Can Splyce play a 1-4? Can they split up? Do they need to be a death ball because of the Cassiopeia and the Xayah?
They kind of have to be, because Memento's also so squishy, so if he runs in head first, he's going to die 1 shot.
Odoamne is trying to do what he can, zoning on the front line, and the threat of that elastic slingshot from Xerxe meant that Roccat was slowly defending.
But he has to actually care, because he actually had to ultimate out because he would have walked through Caitlyn traps and would have been one-shot by her. I don't like the setups that Splyce is going for right now. I think they should really set up one side wave. Otherwise, that Caitlyn is just too dominant.
Well, that's what's happening. Caitlyn and HeaQ and Roccat are defending. You can see that mountain of a gold lead. First, it was in favor of Splyce, then in favor of Roccat, and we're back to an even game state. It's 200 gold separating these teams, despite what has been swings of like 2,000 to 3,000 over the game. Okay, how do you set up a side wave? You set it a lot. Okay, so what are the steps that Splyce have to follow?
So basically, usually you hit a couple of minions and then they die. And if more of the enemy minions die than of yours, then you're gonna have a set up side wave, and that's what they're not doing. It's simple as that.
So that's what Rocket's done in the top lane now,
yes,
right?
They're slow pushing that wave basically. They have more minions, it's gonna slow push, it's gonna hit the turret. It would take the turret if obviously they wouldn't respond to it, but yeah, that's just how easy it is. And I don't understand why some teams sometimes fall back and they just forget about the basics. It makes sense in the heat of the moment though. When there's so much action going on, your brain is just overexcited about things that are happening and suddenly you forget the basics.
Well, Roccat seemed to push that way very well. And yesterday, Amazing, you talked about how you felt Roccat were a team that theory crafted very well, that they demonstrated an understanding of the macro and their win conditions, but sometimes failed to execute.
Yeah, that's what I like about this matchup actually. Like, both Roccat and Splyce kind of have that same attitude that they're not really always in the moment. We saw it yesterday with a lot of early aggression, but again, today, 6-5, 41 minutes, nothing is really happening besides Baron dances and Nash steals, which is cool and all, but it's still like down to the basics of the game, and that's what they're playing for.
Well, let's see who's going to get that advantage. A little bit later today, by the way, the battle for first place between Fnatic and Vitality. It's Match of the Week 2.0. Because, of course, yesterday Splyce picked up a win against G2. Vitality broke their loss streak. Fnatic lost as well. So we got this perfect storm where we could have, at the end of today, a potential three-way tie for first.
I love it. It's so fun to actually see some competition in the league. You have had Fnatic, for example, last year dominating the summer split. There was no competition, obviously, until the playoffs hit. And this year, it's completely different. Vitality actually now finally coming back and understanding the meta again is a really great side for the league.
And Roccat and Splyce battling in the middle of the table. I mean, if Splyce win, if they can turn this game in their favor, they tie for second or third, depending on results today. We've got those Banner of Command minions. We're going to need some more names. If there's one on the map, it's Bob. The second guy's Frank, but I think we've hit 17 by this point.
Bob and Frank.
Just get one of those.
They already died.
One of those baby name books, you know, and just go through it A to Z and and just name every Banner of Command and Pud minion on patch 8.4.
That'd be something. But yeah, maybe they're actually respawning. Maybe they're clones, you know, in the end.
Oh, there we go. Like that. What is a minion's life? Let's find out what are Rocket's lives. Realm Warp was used by Blanc defensively. Once again, I've seen this before. It leads to a couple of standoffs, then Splyce start Baron, and Memento steals it. That's what happened about 6 minutes ago. The Miasma comes down, that's gonna hold Prophet in place. Call of the Forge God comes out, look at the damage onto Xerxe. HeaQ at 42 minutes with 4 completed items is destroying Splyce. Xerxe's Chrono Shift is not gonna get procced, and instead Splyce will escape with their lives. Looking at Summoner Spell, Xerxe's flashes down, and Roccat have now got priority on the mid lane. They've pushed it out, but at the cost of the bottom lane pressure.
I like what Splyce is going for. They're trying to find him the H, but they actually put up the bottom wave perfectly, where now Roccat has to pull the trigger and start the Nash.
2 steals on 2 Barons. Will it be a third in the same game? Xerxe's in the pit. He does it! Are you kidding me? Splyce steal the Baron, and they're looking to run down Roccat. Peter Dunn is not phased, is not worried, and he knew Xerxe had it. Nobody's died yet, but the fight is not over. Prophet gets chunked and slowed down, tries to escape with the searing charge, forced to flash for his life, and Splyce, right, siege up. Let's see, can you learn from past mistakes and make this Baron count?
Apparently they're reverse Nash baits now. As soon as the other team starts, you're gonna have it, and that's just perfectly fine for Splyce right here. They get the Nash, and they actually gotta be able to finally push again and get this top turret down.
Mr. Stuckenschneider, I once again have a quick stat that I think is amazing, Maurice.
He's not solo on the first
That is the 3rd Baron steal in a game. This game has equalized itself on the leaderboard. And this time around, Splyce get the tower. They get the kill onto Norskeren. They take down Memento, but Blanc and Prophet will not be done. They drop Xerxe. They get him through the Chrono Shift and the Cell Division, and they send Splyce packing.
You're now thinking about, I don't think that Splyce should have actually pushed that hard. The Dragon is going to come up right now, and the second Elder for them will be perfectly fine because obviously it's been buffed for 8.4, but now Roccat actually get the position on it.
Oh man, Roccat, can they turn this around? 20 seconds for the Dragon, 40 seconds for Xerxe's death timer, so numbers advantage. It's not going to be the most pivotal, but we do actually have a graphic prepared for the second Elder Dragon secured by the same team, right? You have to pick it up twice to get that buff. And we'll see whether or not Splyce can secure it because, amazing, they're moving in. Plus 100% buffs if your team picks it up.
Xerxe is dead though. I mean, Memento on the other side too, but I think this is still risky because Roccat has a lot of burst and actually interact with it, especially with the Tahm ultimate bringing Memento in potentially.
This is a 4v3 for now. Norskeren and Memento making their way down. All right, the Elder Dragon still available. Memento is here. Smite fight on the cards. No, it's not because Xerxe was not there. Easily picked up by Memento. Odoamne is now chunked down. He's running for his life.
They actually get a kill.
All of a sudden, Memento goes down. Now Roccat have to defend for 60 seconds in a 4-man situation.
And I think the Baron buff is still on for another minute. This should actually be at least an inhibitor for once for Splyce.
Oh, this has to be the case. This is how Splyce can unlock the game. How they can break the first Baron 100% win rate stat. There's the engage from Xerxe. He manages to bring Prophet back. Prophet goes down. That's another kill to Splyce. 9 in the game. They get the inhibitor. I think they're going for the win.
Yeah, the Dragon came at a big cost. Losing one member means you're open to engage on the inhibs.
And look at the Nexus turret. The first one's going down. Kobbe takes it out at 2, 2, and 6. He's now looking at Blanc. Blanc's trying to find an engage, trying to find that rune prison, but he won't find a target. HeaQ's using the Caitlyn range as best as he can. Xerxe connects onto Blanc. Blanc's down to a third of his HP. He's forced to escape. There's the unstoppable onslaught. And Odoamne pieces out with the flash. The Nexus is the focus. And Splyce go 2-0 on the week.
Who would have thought after they get one Nash stolen that they would come back to win the game? It's definitely good composure by Splyce.
Splyce are now 4 wins and 2 losses in their last 6 games.
He didn't jinx it.
They tie the head-to-head. The manager did not jinx the game.
He's actually on stage 2, so worst case, they could have beaten him up too.
Oh man, what a crazy, crazy late game. 3 Baron steals in a single game.
And 1 F-bomb. Best part.
It's worth it. It was a prelude. It was a prelude to the game.
I had to get it out, you know? It's
amazing.
off my chest now.
Oh, but how tough is that loss for Roccat? It felt like they played clean. It felt like they did so many things right. But unfortunately, it didn't matter in the end.
May come down to execution and overextension. I still don't like that Camille pick, but the jungle pool was so minimized that he was just stuck between a rock and a hard place.
It was indeed amazing. After the first few weeks of gameplay, Splyce did not look like a contender. Splyce did not look like a playoff team. They're 4 and 6 now. They're getting better every single week. They're looking coordinated. They took down G2. And kaSing even won his wager with Deficio.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice interview, no?
Is this a threat that people need to start taking more seriously as you look forward to the postseason?
I think when we started the split, we knew that they had the individual talent. They just had to come together as a team, and now they're actually doing that. So yeah, they have a playoff team, and they are definitely a contender.
Oh man, 8 wins, 6 losses. This also means Roccat are now at 6 wins and 8 losses. So that puts them a little lower down, a little closer to that danger zone of not making playoffs, not making the postseason. What goes through your head when you now know, okay, we've won the game, we go backstage, but this wasn't the cleanest win. There was mistakes, there was problems. You know, there was like smite steals aplenty.
Depends on which team you're on, but I think with Splyce, I think they will just come back and actually just think about, hey, the mistakes we did, we can actually fix because they have shown progress so far, so they shouldn't be too worried right now.
Shouldn't be too worried, especially with the win streak. That puts them 3-0 for Splyce from last week to this. Of course, it's their first 2-0 weekend. And I have some good news for you. For anybody that does listen to the Euphoria podcast, there was a wager between Deficio and kaSing. And that wager, Deficio lost. And of course, we will find out the fruits of that wager in a moment or two. You guys can check that out on SoundCloud and YouTube as well. And iTunes as well, as I'm very quickly reminded. Remember to hit us up also with your player of the game. Amazing, I'm going to ask you to tell me who yours was. You guys vote on LoL Esports at Twitter. The 3 options are kaSing, Xerxe, and Kobbe. Who is yours?
I like Xerxe. He stole a couple of Nashers.
He did indeed. What do you think about the rest of the game? It was a slow early game for that Zach.
It was still exciting.
It was very exciting. So much tension was built up, and so much pressure was on his shoulders. And of course, talking about that wager, it does mean kaSing and Deficio, they're getting themselves ready for this interview.
He looks so defeated
and,
already.
Oh, actually, I'm hearing that it is ready. So for more, Deficio, please take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined by not only the greatest support in the world, but also far and away the best-looking support in the world. It is, of course, kaSing. The crowd agrees as well. kaSing, this game, we have to talk about Baron steals. Obviously, you guys lose the first one. Not your fault. It was your jungler's fault. The second Baron you guys steal, I think that was your call. You told Xerxe when to smite, how to do it. And the next Baron, again, also all you. So talk me through this process of like your amazing shot calling. Like, how does it come by that you can just tell your jungler when to steal Barons?
I mean, honestly, it's just like, you know, once you've lost the first one, and I was like, Xerxe, what are you doing? Like, you just fucked up. But then he just, you know, redeemed himself, and then, yeah, just how you do it.
Did you actually take his mouse and keyboard and did it for him?
No, I just micromanaged him. You're like, you have to smite this exact number, and yeah, it's pretty easy.
I like it. Now, obviously, a lot of fans at home, they've been surprised that Splyce could not get 2-0 weeks because they have you as support. And when you have kaSing as support, you tend to win most games. We have seen that time and time again here in the EULCS.
effect.
The kaSing effect is true. Why on earth did the rest of your team take this long to kind of get to your level so you could get a 2-0 week?
I mean, honestly, like, as a team, though, I would say that since week 1 and week 2, we've probably played, like, we played pretty mediocre, considering, like, the player...
Not you.
Yeah, not me, but maybe my team was a bit mediocre, but that's mainly because we weren't meshing as well as a team. And I think these weeks have shown that, well, obviously our first 2-0 week, have shown that we basically meshed much more compared to the past weeks. And I'm really happy and grateful that I'm playing in Splyce.
I think all the credit goes to you, of course, for gathering the troops and being the leader here. Now, my last question is going to be about bot lanes. There is a lot of discussions in the community around the best bot lane in the world. Yeah. I believe an LCK caster, Daddy Smithy something is his name. He rated you and Kobbe as the best bot lane in the world, mainly because of you. Now, I want to focus just on Europe. We already know that you and Kobbe will be the #1 bot lane. Who is second and third and can maybe dream of getting close to you specifically?
Honestly, I think there are no other bot lanes like me and Kobbe.
No other bot lanes. Is there anyone who's like somewhat close?
Close, I would say, is... Nah, there's no one.
There's no one. Okay, there you go, guys. kaSing, of course, the best support in the world. And I also say I love you. I love the way you're playing. I think everything you're doing is perfect. And guys, more games coming up. Commercial break now. Stay tuned. Great League of Legends incoming.
For Wakanda.
And of course, Roccat and Splyce, both of them at 1-0, both of them with kind of surprising wins yesterday.
Not in position to contest.
They're not, but they're going to teleport over the wall! Memento does it! He steals the Baron from Splyce! He's running for his life now, locked in place by the Hextech ultimatum, and Splyce! What have you done? Roccat are decimating them! There's been one smite steal already. Xerxe's thinking about going in. Chrono Shift is available. He's inside the pit. 1900, 1200, 800. The steal is on. 2 steals on 2 Barons. Will it be a third in the same game? Xerxe's in the pit. He does it. Are you kidding me? Odoamne pieces out with the flash. The Nexus is the focus. And Splyce go 2-0 on the